Let's go! Good evening, y'all, or morning, or afternoon, or middle of the night. Wherever you're at in the world, welcome. Tonight's topic is how do you all go collecting in the wild? Now, this is not telling y'all to go collecting now since I mentioned it. But before you go collecting, make sure you know your rules and regulations on where you're located or where you want to go collecting at. Make sure you know that. Because I don't want to be blamed for something that y'all did without asking me. How about that?
Always check your regulations and laws.
And we got my co-host Emily,
and her very
with a nice background music.
If he does get too loud, just let me know and I'll put him inside.
And for those who don't know, this is Gem Aquatics. She's all the way across the pond over in Australia. I mean, if you haven't figured it out by her accent, I don't know how to explain it better than that. She has a great accent, y'all.
We come from the land down under.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I'm actually kind of jealous of your accent, if I say so myself.
Yeah, well, we're jealous of your accent. I think it's always whatever you don't have, you want.
Fair enough. Yeah. That's probably more like because actually growing up, my dream was to have a southern accent.
Yeah.
And people tell me I have it now. No, I don't have it. No, I don't know.
I think I hear it.
I mean, yeah, but it come out of my mouth. It don't sound as good as it did growing up or Australia accent. You know what I mean? Anyways, this is gonna be a good live stream, y'all. I will be hitting the topic pretty soon here, but I want to welcome everybody in that's ready here. We got Way first one in, the best moderator on YouTube in my book. He does a great job. Does it without asking. He's phenomenal. So treat him with respect, and he'll treat you respect as well. Because and I usually don't shout this out, but since Way put it in the chat, if you're interested in food, which I mean, if you're a human, you eat, you're gonna be interested in food. Over there on Cabin Woods, I do content about food. Now, I'm not as focused on that channel right now. I'm more focused on Vibes Aquatics until Vibes Aquatics is at the point that I can back away and it kind of is in on cruise or automatic. You know what I mean? I'm not quite at that point.
I'm a big foodie, and my dad's actually a chef by trade, so I'm big into food as well. And I didn't know that about you, so I will be checking out that channel when we finish this.
Yeah, so maybe in the future we can do a collaboration live stream about food.
Yeah, we can do fish and food, just not together. Not like the first one.
I mean, up to me, I say, yeah, let's do this. But YouTube hates that. YouTube does not like that when you put the two together. Or two niches together. YouTube hates it. Anyways, welcome to Stephen P. Father Aquatics, Fish Wit, Vinosky, Rat and Lightcat, welcome in. Scuba Steve, what's up, Scuba? Hey, Scuba, did you go to Aquashella this weekend? Aquashella, Chicago, Illinois is happening today and tomorrow. All right, I come to the bottom of the chat, and let's go hit the topic. Sorry, y'all. So, what's your words of encouragement, Emily, to us about collecting in the wild?
I have a lot to say about collecting in the wild, especially over here in Australia. As we were talking about before, we have a ridiculous amount of laws and regulations and fines and permits that you need to do absolutely anything. I understand why they have it, because obviously in Australia we have very selective ecosystems and very important native species, which you don't get anywhere else. And we're one of the largest islands with the largest amount of biodiversity. So we really do have to protect it. But at the same time, it's really annoying being someone in the industry not being able to go out and collect whatever we want. Like everything that's listed on the screen now, they're all the prohibited fish that we're not allowed to touch, not allowed to import, can't have anything to do with, and it's always all the really cool stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of restrictions around it, so it is quite hard. And then obviously what you're allowed to use to collect as well. You're not allowed to use a lot of bait, certain kind of traps. You're not allowed to go on areas because there's a lot of national parks. So it is quite difficult to collect here. But if you're on private property or if it's an invasive species, it is possible to do. But yeah, it's just a little bit difficult than other parts of the world.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize it was that. I don't want to say it, but that bad or that hard to do it. And
yeah,
his list. I was actually looking at the list, and I was actually getting. I actually teared up a little bit. I was like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why on the live stream last week, I was saying a lot of my bucket list fish I will never be able to own because they are invasive species here and they're illegal, so we're not actually allowed to import them. So that's the main reason they're on my bucket list, because they're really cool and I'd die to have one, but we're just not allowed to over here. I'd have to move out of the country to do that. The laws and regulations do vary state by state, so some are a little bit more lenient, but it's pretty much the same like Australia-wide.
Right.
Which is annoying.
Australia-wide. Okay, so it's not just in Queensland. It's all over.
Those particular ones that I sent to you, they are the Queensland regulations, but each state has their own set of regulations and laws, and they're all very similar.
Okay. Yeah, that is a lot, and a lot of those names I recognize, and ones that we have here in America. So
yeah,
may I ask, are all these in your local waters?
No, so that's why they're illegal, because a lot of our like ecosystems are so sensitive and they've got critically endangered native species in there. We can't allow the risk of an invasive or noxious like species getting out and destroying the ecosystem and wiping our populations out, because there's quite a few species that are only found here in Australia and a lot we're still even just discovering ourselves. So it's basically just to protect those ecosystems and those species, because obviously, say, I don't know, we get a frontosa over here and a frontosa goes into an ecosystem, it's going to wipe out everything because it's got no natural predators and it's going to destroy the native species that are in there, and some of them could be critically endangered or protected. So yeah, that's just the whole reason that I said, is to protect our native species from anything invasive that'll just go out of control. We are having a few issues at the moment, especially in my area with Oscars. I'm sure you're having issues out there as well. There have been a couple of Oscars released into our rivers and they're just causing havoc. Same with the tilapia. Tilapia is a massive problem over here. So yeah, those few rare occurrences where someone has released something, they've just gone nuts, and it's reinforced why these laws are here, because you can see the damage that they do.
Right. There has been they've tried to block a lot of species, either keeping or collecting here in the States. So far they haven't been able to successfully do it. But they tried pass that law. Which I understand why, because a lot of ecosystems are messed up because of that. There's these invasive species, especially some of these are not we call it naturally controlled. So they just destroy the natural habitat that the locals actually survive on. But I'll show y'all this again.
Yeah, there's a big and then even the species that we are allowed to collect, like the native species, there is a size limit and a bag limit on it. You can find it all on the Queensland government page and the fisheries page, but like lungfish, we're not allowed to take them at all. They're a no-take thing. Bass, they have to be a minimum of 30 centimeters. You're only allowed 5 if they're in like a commercially stocked dam where they're stocked for like fishing and like collecting. But if it's anywhere else, you're only allowed 2, and it's the same with all our species. So there's a big list on the fisheries website, and it tells you if you're allowed to take them, what size they have to be to take them, and how many you're allowed to take, if you're allowed to take them at all.
Right. So. Yeah, if those who don't know, we do have a nice background music going on. The mascot of the evening, y'all.
Say hello.
So cute.
He's so cute, but he's so loud, so you're probably not going to be able to hear me say anything over him.
Welcome in, Juanita. Designs. Aquarium Fantasy. Welcome. Good evening, Henry. How are you doing this evening? Jason Hovey. Welcome in. Do the dogs take requests?
Depends on what the request is. He isn't very obedient, so we can try, but
yeah, backstage, y'all, she was trying to tell him to be quiet, and he wasn't listening at all.
I told him to stop chewing my shoelaces as well, and I've just looked down and both are untied because he has chewed both of them off.
Hey, he's doing what a dog does.
Yeah, the poor thing's been bored all day. He's finally got some human interaction, so he's like, people, play with me.
Oh, Steven had another one. Music request. Since he's the background music, you know.
Can you do some beatboxing?
No thing. Where's the mic?
Hand it up.
Wait, so that's a weird looking dingo.
He is a funny looking dingo. I'd be quite shocked if I saw a dingo that small.
So, are they pretty common in your area?
Well, where I am right now, they are quite common. I'm out on my nan's farm, so there's a couple of wild populations that run around here. So in like inland, where most of like your cities and coastal areas are, they're not too common. But like in the grand scheme of things, they are pretty common. I personally haven't seen one in the wild before, but there are quite common sightings around.
Right. I got some stuff to show y'all. Now, this is some ideas. What you might want to think about getting if you plan on collecting in the wild, and you're allowed to. Get a bucket to hold especially if you plan on bring any of the species home with you. Get a bucket. You might even put some. You see that there's a hole in the lid. I put 2 holes, and that's for the airline. So I have an air pump. I got a USB air pump that I plug to my vehicle to give the fish oxygen while I'm transporting them. And I have a nice specimen container with a lid, so I can see the fish up close, or the shrimp, whatever I'm collecting, up close. And you can get this with you out there. Some sort of a cloth rag, dry your hands. You know, I got some pictures as well to show y'all. But this is aside take pictures of these. I'll just show them to y'all. Have a nice small net. I like those ones with the long a telescoping handle. That way I can use this or this, the different sizes, to dip the fish, shrimp, snails, whatever I catch in the big dip net. I can use these to catch them out of the big net. In the past, I was using my hands, which I don't encourage that too much because you can hurt the fish with your hands. So this is and also you may have chemicals in your hands, etc. So this is a better way to catch them. And also, depending on what species you catch, you don't want to catch them with your hand anyways because they could be venomous. So that's
a really good idea that I can think of. That's always very good because I'm always one of those ones that then with the net tries to go in and catch it with my hands. So have a smaller net. I didn't even think of that. So that's a very good idea. I'll be seeing that.
There you go. Yeah. Back when I started collecting, I'd use my hand to do everything. Then I started using like a plastic lid to do it. But this is a lot easier.
Yeah, I think working in the industry for so long as well, you kind of just get used to handling things. Like even when I was working at the aquarium shop, it's going to sound morbid, but when we had a fish pass, obviously working in an aquarium setting, you have a fish that passes every now and then. And we get a new staff member come in and they'd be like, oh, there's a dead fish. Like, I don't want to touch it. And I was like, okay, well, you can go get a net. Or like they'd take too long to go and get a net. So I just grab my hand and like just go in and grab it. And they'd be so grossed out. They'd be like, oh my God, you're touching it. But yeah, I guess working in the industry for that long, you kind of become desensitized to these sort of things and you forget that everyone just grabs a dead fish out of a tank.
But for those watching this live or replay, make sure you know what you're touching, because there is species that we have in our aquariums that are very venomous, very poisonous to us as humans.
Mm.
And I don't want you to. Now, some of us are more allergic reaction to than others, so be very careful.
Especially over here in Australia as well. If you ever do collecting in tide pools, or not even collecting to take home, but just like collecting to observe, like we've got the blue ring octopus over here, conch snail. So there are some very venomous species over here, and there have been, like, it is quite common for people to be killed by them, and irukandji jellyfish and everything. So yeah, just be very careful about what you're collecting and what you're picking up, and be 100% sure you know what you're getting before you grab it.
Yes. Now,
save you a very expensive hospital trip.
Exactly. And normally in my freshwater tanks, I'm maybe a little lax on that. I usually use my hand to do my stuff. But in my saltwater tank, every time I put my hand in the saltwater tank now, I always have a glove up to my shoulder.
Yeah, well, that's what I've had to start doing after that big scare that I had the other week with my finger. I ended up in hospital. That could have ended very badly. Luckily, it was best case scenario. But yeah, after that, I've now started wearing gloves. I've always been a bit blasé about it, like, oh, it's a possibility, but it won't happen, which you always think it's not going to happen to me, but it can definitely happen to you. So protective measures are always better than having to deal with the repercussions of it.
Right. And also, you don't know where your allergic reaction is. Are you, maybe this time you're good, but next time it might get you.
Exactly.
So. And is this a salad, or what is this?
So that's what we call water lettuce over here. It's a floating aquatic plant. That was what I found in the creek out the back yesterday. So yesterday I went to try and find some photos of me collecting stuff. And if you saw my story, unfortunately, I ended up just collecting trash because people are terrible over here and just leave rubbish everywhere. So it turns it into a rubbish collecting day rather than fish and plant collecting day. But I did find some of this, which was quite sad because I didn't find anything native. All I found was invasive duckweed and this invasive water lettuce. Which is a real problem, and it really shouldn't be happening. There is a $200,000 fine for anyone that does release any invasive or noxious animals into our waterways. So the fines are there, but obviously it's really hard to police it and find people when to dump it. So they're there, but people either aren't aware of it or they just don't care, unfortunately. So I tried to grab as much of this out as I could. And a couple of weeks ago, I found some wisteria in there as well, which is another invasive plant that is a native to here. So it's sad that I couldn't find anything native, but I guess I found something for the video. It just wasn't what I was planning for.
True. So these invasive plants and stuff, are you even allowed to keep them even?
So invasive stuff we are allowed to keep. Again, you got to check the fisheries page. There are some things that you have to euthanize on site. If you ever catch any invasive fish, you are not allowed to release it back into a waterway, and you're not allowed to use it as bait, but you can sometimes keep it in an aquarium setting. But again, you just got to check the regulation and laws about what species it is. So it is a possibility, but most of the times you do have to euthanize where you found it.
Right. Hey, welcome in, Benjamin Peters. Good to see you. But you mentioned you were collecting rubbish, which, I mean, you hit the topic on the nail. How do y'all go collecting in the wild? That was in the wild. You were collecting. I mean, right?
Got a whole bag of rubbish, and it was out of the creek, so it was where I was meant to be finding stuff. But unfortunately, all I found was ducks, duckweed, water lettuce, and a shit ton of rubbish, which was quite sad.
Right.
Apparently, there are guppies in there as well. When I used to work at the aquarium shop, one of my regulars, he lives around this area with me as well. And he said in that off run there, because it's a little off run from the shops, that little creek, and he said that he has found guppies in there before. So there are also invasive fish in there. But probably 6 months ago, I took the dog for a walk through there, and I found some Balaxia, which was really good. It is the Australian native version of Vallisneria. So that actually find a native plant, but that's kind of seasonal. I went back there a couple of weeks later to try and collect some, and it had all died off. So I have to be really quick to grab that. But it was called actually something that's native, and it belonged, because it's very rare to actually come across that, unfortunately.
Right. And Nathan Hovey had a question. He said he's on his mobile phone and wasn't able to zoom it in. But yeah, it's the same water lettuce as we have in the States, Nathan. Same stuff.
Yeah, and that was just a tiny little specimen as well. That was only about that big. Like, they do get the same size as yours. They do get quite large.
Right. Now, yeah, it's also invasive. I don't know about all the states here in America, but here in the South, especially Texas, it's very invasive.
Yeah.
And Supposedly you're not supposed to touch the stuff here. So
Yeah, the floating plants are an issue over here, just
yeah.
because obviously they grow so prolifically that they cover the whole water surface and then either
Yes.
suffocate all the oxygen and create algae, or they suffocate the light from being able to reach anything below and kill everything off.
Yep.
So sure, it's the same situation over there as it is here.
Oh yeah. I was talking about a dip net. This is the dip net that I use to go collecting with here. The Ninja Net, what's it called? Ryan with Wild Fish Tanks. Ryan, he's down in Miami, Florida. He's the author of this net. He makes them in his garage and sells them. It's the same style net as Jonah's Aquariums online fish store. But anyways, it's the same style. But you already know vibes. He rather support a fellow fish tuber. I mean, I'm kind of biased, He's a friend of mine, so of course I'm gonna support him. It's a great net. Now, nope, I don't think I have. No, I don't have a picture of it. I thought I had a picture of the whole net. It comes apart in 3 sections. The handle comes apart in 2 sections, and it comes apart from the net. So you can put it in your checked luggage when you travel. So you can fly to Australia with this net in your luggage.
That's cool. If you ever, bring me one.
All right. Hey, better yet, I took Katie to bring him back with her.
Yeah, she's coming back over for the fight in a couple of weeks. I'm going back to look after her tank. So yeah, we'll organize something.
There you go. Yeah, in my book, these are the best ones around. Now, of course, this is the same style, very similar to a Jonah Aquariums online. But see, the rim of the net is all covered, so the net is not showing. So when you hit rocks, sticks, gravel, grass, whatever, it doesn't turn the net up.
That's so good.
And this is like a fine mesh net, so you can catch up to little shrimp even with the net.
Really cool design on that. Do the little 2 holes on either side have like a specific function, or just the way it's designed?
The way it's designed. Now the pole itself, it hollow, so it doesn't get full of water. You're not collecting.
Yeah.
But I think. Now, one thing I wish it did was float. That it don't float yet. So I'm talking to the guy who made this, and we're trying to figure out a way to make it that it would float. That'd be cool. It'd be better yet. Especially if you're in the Amazon or where the deep water, you're up to your waist or whatever. And if you drop it, that way it don't sink to the bottom and lose it. But so far, I have no guts of the net. It's built phenomenal. It's very strong. I use the same net out here on my pond. Whenever I move the koi fish around, which the koi are like 18 inches long, and it holds no issue. So this is a pretty big net, y'all. And here's some of the fish I caught a while back with it. You can see them there. It's not too clear, but you can see some kombucha in there, which would be a mosquito fish. There's some wild Sylphian mollies in this picture that I can see. Now, some of the Sylphian mollies I could have here in my aquarium in the house, which basically I get a better view other in my aquarium versus out in a pond. I do have a molly pond outside, and they're loving it because there ain't any predators. So of course they're gonna reproduce it crazy, and yeah, very beautiful. And that's a molly, for those that don't know. This is a Sylphian molly. Wow. There's more pictures of the sides. Now, the guy on the right, that is a mosquito fish. The guy on the left is the molly. Welcome in, everyone. I'll go back to the chat here in a bit.
See, Joey just joined.
Hey, Joey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing okay. Now these are like black top minnow, I think it's called. It's a weird name. I didn't know what the word until after I caught them. So, and every time I go out collecting, y'all, I find new species I didn't know we even have. So, which is kind of dope. And what about that? Go ahead. You got it.
So as I was saying before, Joey, you probably missed it. We were just talking about all the laws and regulations that we have over here, which is really hard for us to collect anything here unless it's invasive, but they shouldn't be here in the first place if they are invasive. We have $200,000 fines for anyone that releases noxious species. And if you release anything else as well, there's a $48,000, $390 fine and 1 year imprisonment possibility. So we have fun regulations over here. But this is the creek at my nan's where I am now. We just went down quickly to go have a look. Didn't find any fish apart from like little mosquito larvae and stuff, but we did find some of this really cool moss which you could use in a terrarium. So seems to be more of what I'm finding is plants that you can use in terrariums and aquarium setups rather than fish. And I kind of prefer that anyway, because plants you're allowed to collect, the regulations aren't as strict on them, whereas fish, ridiculously crazy. As I was saying before, you got to go onto the Queensland government or the fisheries website, and depending on the species, can't collect them at all. There are size limits and bag limits on them, so it's just much easier to collect plants.
Right. Hey, Joey.
Australia.
That's an interesting question. Sounds like Katie. That's interesting, Joey. You mentioned that.
Yes, Katie and I are both from Australia. Katie is one of my friends, and I look after her tanks when she comes and sees you. So I will be back down at her place in a couple of weeks when she comes back over.
Yeah, she's in Australia. Yep. No, hey, Joey, it's amazing how many people that I've met through social media. Oh, that's you.
That is me.
So now you can see the different side of Katie, Joey. Yeah. No, I'm blessed to have met Gem Aquatics. She's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Still starting out in this whole social media content space, just trying to mainly run my own business at the moment, but definitely keen to get the YouTube channel started and get more on the social media side of things and share my life with you guys.
Right.
It's always funny.
Is that a river or what is that?
So that's, again, one of the rivers that are just down the back here. So at my nan's property, I don't know how many acres it is, but it's a massive property. And there's a creek beside me here, another dam down the end, and then about 4 or 5 creeks that run through the property down the back. And that was another one of them quite close to where that moss photo was taken.
And is that a pretty still creek, or is it flowing pretty good?
No, so at the moment in wet season it runs pretty well, and I was hoping that it would be running, but we just went down there and I had to walk a fair way in through all the slate dry riverbeds just try and find a little section with water. But surprisingly, I thought it was going to be stagnant because of how long it's just been sitting there, but it's all still really clear, so it's got really good filtration, natural filtration that goes through there. There's no natural spring, so it's not naturally feeding itself. It is fed through rain. So yeah, I was actually quite surprised how clean it was down there. It was quite beautiful. So I'm going to go back down there later and have a proper look around and drag my partner down and we'll go have a proper explore.
Nice. So what do you wear anything particular for that? Like any special shoes or clothes to go out and do that?
I really should. So this is going to be one of those situations where it's do what I say, not as I do.
So this is
I would recommend wearing gloves and like gum boots and probably long pants, because out here we have a lot of ticks. You can get Lyme's disease and certain diseases off the ticks if you do happen to run into a bad batch. Obviously, in that particular spot where that photo was taken at the creek, there is a resident red belly black that lives there, which is one of Australia's most venomous snakes. So I've grown up here my whole life and I've grown up on this farm, so I know where all the spots are. And I guess I've kind of become a little bit blasé about things because I'm just so used to it. I've grown up around it. But yeah, I definitely recommend taking the precautions, wear the right shoes. If you're in Australia, wear the snake guards around your ankles, wear long pants, check yourself for ticks afterwards, wear gloves if you're collecting anything in the water in case there's something under a rock you pick up. Just be cautious about what you're doing. Not what I do. I literally went down wearing this, so I'm in a skirt in socks, like just normal t-shirt. So I'm already covered in cuts and scratches. So who knows what happens with that. But yeah, as I said, I'm very used to this. This has been my whole life. So, but yeah, do as I say, not what I do.
As Stephen Payne said, if he goes to Australia, he's wearing a full body armor. It sounds horrible.
I guess we're just so used to it. Like, I don't know, I guess growing up as kids, you're taught about all these precautionary things. So it's constantly in the back of your head, but it's not something that controls your life, I guess, because it's so common. Like, you can't let it control you. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck inside all day and not do anything. So you got to just embrace it and just be careful. Katie actually stated something into my head the other day. So we have obviously red belly blacks over here, which is another venomous spider that can kill you very quickly. And they're tiny and they hide in crevices and under chairs and in little dark spots, mainly in sheds and stuff. So as a kid and as a teenager and stuff, I was always very cautious. So I went to pick anything up, I would check what was under there. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, it's been 23 years. Nothing's going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like, I'm not going to encounter it. And she posted a video of a chair where she went to pick it up and there was a redback spider underneath it. And she nearly touched it. And her showing that photo re-jogged my memory. And I was like, okay, these things do exist. I do have to be cautious. Like, we can't just be la-di-da about it. Probably do have to be quite cautious over here, unfortunately, which we sometimes forget.
Since you mentioned it, I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, the redback spiders. They're tiny and they're very easy to identify by their webs. Their webs are ridiculously messy. So if you come across a web over here and it kind of looks like, I don't even know how to describe it. You can probably pull up a photo of it, but yeah, they're just very messy webs and it's a pretty quick indicator that you're dealing with a redback.
So, hold on. Before I speak out, I'm gonna do a little more research. Okay, so we're on the same topic page. Okay, redback spider is basically the same thing as a black widow here in America.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think I have seen a post on like I'm part of like obviously all the different spider pages and animal pages. And yeah, I think I did see someone post about a widow and I was like, they look like our redbacks.
Yep. They're a close relative.
Yeah. There you
now,
go.
actually, go to Google. It says that the black widows are actually more venomous than the redback spiders.
Really?
Yeah. Like, ooh.
There you go. You beat us at something.
I didn't realize. Okay, I kill them all the time around here. I see them all the time. I just kill them, right? And they don't know what to buy. But
yeah.
Maybe I need to be a little more cautious about it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, I'm a massive animal lover and animal advocate. Like, if it's in the house, any sort of bug, like I've had to teach my partner and his parent-in-laws, like if there's an animal in the house, we don't kill it. Like, you come and tell me and I will catch it and relocate it. But unfortunately, in certain situations, like the funnel webs or a redback, like if there's kids around or in certain situations with your animals and stuff, sometimes you do unfortunately have to euthanize them. But there's a time and a place. And yeah, unfortunately, if they get themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time, they do have to go. But yeah, I always try my best to relocate when I can.
Right. Oh, yeah. So now, if they do come to my house, well, they kind of cross my border kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if I release them, there's a good chance they'll come back in the same way that they did the first time.
Yeah, my mentality is we live among the animals, like with all the development, especially here that's happening in Australia, like even driving out to my nan's farm just now, all what used to be farmland has now been cleared and they're developing it into houses. So my mindset is maybe a couple of years ago, that was his house and he's just returning home to see what his house looks like. And you've just built your house there. So it's just a coincidence. Like, I don't think it's very fair that as a human species, we think we're like top predators and we can do whatever the hell we want to anything. Like, we're not apex and we don't rule everything. Like, we do still have to respect everything. And yeah, we're starting to take over their homes. So we can't really get mad when they come into ours because it was theirs in the first place.
Right. Griffin Hobie has a question for you. Do you have the brown recluse spiders in Australia?
I personally haven't heard of them, so I'm not too sure. I might do a little bit of a Google. We may do. I think my partner has spoken about them over in New Zealand. But I don't know if we actually get them here. But I will have a
Okay.
look and see if I've seen one. Because generally we have different names for everything, so we very well may do, and it's just not called that.
Okay. Hey, Passing Wind, welcome in. Yeah, I actually kind of agree with Passing Wind. They said that they're more worried about the brown recluse than the black widow.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard the brown recluse is worse in poison wise, but we actually have the black widows around here, so I guess I need to be more cautious wherever I go.
I just did a Google and it says they have not been. Oh, sorry. Sketchy throat at the moment. They have not been introduced to Australia at this point, so we do not have them here.
So, in other words, you want them to be introduced?
No, thank you. We've got enough on the list. We've got enough venomous stuff over here we need to worry about. Right. We don't need one.
Exactly. And then again, maybe the brown recluse would be the management and keep everything in control, you know?
Yeah, but then it could be the same situation as we had with the toads. They introduced them over here to try and get rid of the cane beetles out of the cane fields, and then they ended up eating the cane beetles, and now they're one of our largest invasive species, and we're having real issues with them. So I'm not a huge fan of introducing other animals to control the problem, because it generally doesn't turn out the way we want it to, and it ends up being more of a problem than it began with.
Actually, what's interesting, since you mentioned that, this past Thursday night on the live stream, we talked about not using your aquatic pets to fix a problem in your aquarium. Yeah. Same idea. Don't use another animal to fix a problem.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for everything, but you've got to think of all the repercussions and everything else that can go with it and make sure it definitely is the best solution, or if there's something else you can use before it.
If you see a fuzzy spider, leave it alone, because there are no fuzzy spiders. There are hundreds of babies on it ready to jump.
Or I have a horror story about that. I don't know if you want to hear it or not.
Actually, I do. Go ahead. This is going to be good.
So it was when I was quite little, but it's one of those memories that are just burnt into my brain because it was like kind of one of those traumatizing things. So over here in Australia, I'm sure you have towel racks where you hang up your towels, like so your towel folds over. I was in the bathroom one day with my mum, and she went to just pick up her towel without looking at it, and she picked it up, and this big thing jumped off it. Anyway, she screamed, and even as a kid, I've always been the one, Emily, come and get the spiders or the creatures or whatever and get it out of it. I'm not touching it. So even as a little 6-year-old, mum screamed to come and get me to come and get this thing. And I looked down on it, and its whole back was fuzzy. And I was like, oh, that's really weird. And I started looking at it. And as soon as we picked it up, just millions of these little tiny spiders just ran everywhere. And it was a huntsman, and obviously a female huntsman, and it had all her babies on her back. So as soon as we tried to relocate it, they just bloop, went everywhere. Yep. And it's something that's just burned into my brain. So every time I see a fuzzy spider now, it's like, they're babies. So I'm on the page with that one. I do concur.
The cloud behind her makes her look like a burn of smoking.
I didn't even notice that. Yeah,
it's like right above.
Good timing with the clouds.
Yeah. See, we know what time to go live. I mean, we got it all planned out.
Yeah.
Eugene?
If I keep glancing over this way as well, the next door neighbor's horses keep jumping into my nan's yard, and I can hear big banging in the scrub over there. So I think they're starting to come back over.
Right.
So if I keep looking off screen, that's all I'm looking at.
I got some more pictures. Now, this is a picture of my aquarium, actually right beside me. This is a 20-gallon high. Now, I don't know the liters, but 20-gallon high here in America. Anyways, this is the wild sylphid mollies. If you can see, there is a male. I got a picture of him, which is hard. And this is a high tannins tank. This is black water, which is, I did on purpose, because to kind of resemble what they come from. These are wild, y'all. Anyway, this male, it has a yellow head, and it has like a blue tip tail. It's hard to see in the picture because these guys are hard to get a picture of, and they're moving pretty fast, and the water is very high tannin. So all that was against me to get a good photo of him. So
you can still see it really well. Do you find when you're collecting those guys as well that they've reverted back to wild type, so they're not that colorful, or do you still find like all ornamental styled, like colorful ones?
So far, I'm here at local in Central Texas, which we have a few of the ornamental fish in our local waters, but a lot of these are actually the wilds, the original.
Oh yeah, so they're just naturally occurring over there.
Right. These are actually naturally here.
Oh, that's okay.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, I always forget being over here in Australia. Like, obviously, we only really have rainbow fish and bass and a couple of native like eeltail catfish and stuff. So I forget that everything that we get in the aquarium trade actually comes natively from somewhere in the world.
Right. True. But now these guys are very. I've noticed they're very seasonal. I might catch maybe one or two in the middle of summer, but they're hard to find. But like most of these guys, I collected them in January and February of this year. So there seem to be a lot more cold water or something, or maybe that's just time of the year that they breed. I don't know.
That's really interesting to know, because obviously the mollies in the aquarium trade, they breed like rabbits. Like no matter what time of year or what it is doing, they just breed like crazy. So that's really interesting to know the wild populations are kind of seasonal.
Yeah. And now, if you look at this picture, you see some babies in the picture as well. Those babies were born here in my aquarium. So those would be F1s, by the way. And which is really cool. Even with the babies, I can see different colors coming out. Kind of like in the ornamental fish in the fish store, the mollies, you see different color patterns. I see the same way. Now, it's not as strong different color, but you can see the different colors: the blues, the greens, the yellows, the oranges, all in different babies, the same batch. It's interesting.
Yeah, I absolutely love genetics and phenotypes and genotypes and seeing what's going to come out of it. They've always really interested me, like your Punnett squares and your genetics. I've been really fascinated by that my whole life.
Yeah. And now I've caught 2 males in the wild so far that were actually colored up. Most of the mollies I've caught since I started collecting, but most of them they're just gray or silver color, very very drab. But now most of these colored up in my aquarium or in my collection, like out in my pond, they colored up. But there are 2 males that I've actually caught in the wild. But now these 2 males were in the ditch of the river, so they weren't actually out with the big fish. So I don't have any proof to back this up, but I'm wondering if coloring up is something. I know it's for breeding purposes, but also maybe they don't color up as much when they're out with those predators. I don't know.
Yeah, that is true. Probably it's a defense mechanism just so they don't stand out and get picked off. Or the ones that are really bright and colorful, they probably do get eaten, so they're not passing on their genes to the next generation.
Right. Because that color will be easy to pick up in the wild,
Yeah, definitely.
So, and now the 2 males that I caught in the wild, 2 silver mollies, the one was a very strong orange color. The other one was a yellow color. Now the tails were basically the same color, tip of the tail. The blue, dark blue with the light blue line through it. It's really cool. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Now here's one that this is like a couple minutes after catching it in the wild. You can see now this was a female, by the way. The females are very drab color, but even they have different color patterns. Like little different color patterns and variety. They're not all the same. Some people have mistook these for other fish, but now I've actually asked some locals here when I'm not collecting. There's people out fishing, fishing for like bass, bluegill, and they always ask me, "What'd you catch?" And I show them, like, what is that? I said, that's a molly. And what's that? And to them, all they see is a minnow. To them, that's all they see.
Yeah.
And I tell them, a molly, they're actually in the aquarium hobby. People go to the fish store and buy them all the time. And these are the same idea. But I'm actually more interested in the wild types than I'm in the ornamental ones in the store. So
Yeah, they're very beautiful still.
let me see. Did I get the other picture? I don't see it. I don't think I uploaded, y'all. Sorry about that. I had another picture of a shrimp. Nope, it did not upload. Here in our local waterways, we have a lot of ghost shrimp. Or some people, okay, even if you Google it, it'll say grass shrimp, which makes a ghost shrimp. The clear. So if you want to do your own population of ghost shrimp, if you're able to, you're in Texas, go ahead and collect them. Now, I would encourage you. It's for all species. If you're collecting wild ones or local ones, do your research and make sure that they're not invasive. And when add them to your collection, make sure you do a quarantine process.
That was going to be my next.
You don't want to bring anything sick or anything that could harm your ornamental fish in, Hey, Skipper, welcome in. Small Fish 16, welcome in.
The shrimp, the little ghost shrimp seem to be over here everywhere as well, but they seem to be in national parks. The main spots that I've seen them, obviously being a national park, you can't collect anything in there, but we have this one spot. It's like a public waterfall. It's called Gardeners Falls, and the last time I was out there, like, I wish I had a snorkel and like a camera and stuff I could take under the water, because just looking on top, the whole rockwork was just moving. Like, there would have been trillions of these shrimp. It was just incredible. So that was really cool to do.
Back when I started collecting here, I was all excited, about shrimp. Now I'm actually on the other side of that thing. Oh no, not another shrimp. No.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Yeah. The population for shrimp, Gambusia, what's the other fish? It's a silver color. Here we call them minnows, but there's a handful of fish, of small fish that we see regularly. That, in my opinion, I mean, they're there for a reason. They're part of the ecosystem, right? But if you're out collecting, it gets annoying. You get a whole pile of these fish that you don't want.
Yeah. Yeah, over here, Gambusia is another really big problem. They were introduced to try and eat mosquito larvae and stuff, and then they just took off out of control. So they're another really bad invasive one we've got over here. So yeah, if you ever catch a Gambusia here, you have to euthanize that on spot. You're not even allowed to keep it in the aquarium.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the ones you got to euthanize there and then.
Yeah, I actually keep them here. Now, not in my aquariums, y'all. I tried that. I tried mosquito fish or Gambusia, I won't call it, in my aquariums. They're okay if they're Gambusia only. If you try to put them with your mollies or your platies or tetras, I've not had bad experience with them. They basically they were the boss of the tank, and they would try to nibble on everything that would come past them. So it was not a good thing. But I do out in my summer clubs.
Bully everything.
Yes,
that's just such a big issue over here, because they just bully everything. They're a-holes.
But I do keep them in my outdoor ponds, though. In my outdoor ponds, I don't have anything small enough for them to airtake. I'll go after. But I have noticed since I put them out on my ponds, the mosquito issue went down like tremendous. So because they do eat mosquitoes. Maybe not mosquitoes so much, but with the larva.
Yeah, they're really good at eating mosquito larvae, which is why they were introduced to it. But then obviously they just, because nothing else was eating them and they were eating everything else, they just completely took over the waterways that they were in.
Yeah. Now, I've been trying to observe my bluegill out in my pond. If they ever eat any of the Gambusia, I have not seen them do it yet, which is I'm kind of surprised that they don't. Because it's a little Gambusia, right? That'd be a snack for the bluegill. But I haven't seen it yet. Hopefully I can see it sometime, which is, maybe that's wrong. I don't know. But
you think it's probably good for them? Some stimulation, natural prey drive?
Yes. Now, I do give them some crickets and grasshoppers. Sorry, Emily. Some crickets and grasshoppers to my bluegill. And they love them.
Crickets and grasshoppers to my turtle. So.
Okay. Okay. Woo! So okay. If those who don't know, don't tell Emily that you feed your pets insects and stuff because she's not gonna be happy with you. Every
I don't know
insect
at
has a
all.
purpose.
As long as it's ethically sourced, like obviously it's the same thing as collecting fish in the wild and then introducing them to a tank. You want to quarantine them first. So like if you ever go outside and find a caterpillar or grasshopper or something outside, A, make sure it's not an endangered species so you're not adding to the problem, but B, make sure you're not using any pesticides in your garden, or even try and quarantine it somewhere in case it has picked up a pesticide or chemical somewhere so you're not giving that to your animal. But yeah, I'm a very strong believer in live foods because it's what they get in the wild. It's the best diet for them. So I 100% wholeheartedly believe that it's a very good addition to their diet. Obviously, depending on where you are, it's quite hard to get them as a staple for their diet, but I definitely love adding them in as a rotation. It gives them that stimulation as well to naturally hunt something, which is what they're designed to do.
Yes. Hey, welcome in, Junior P. So would you quarantine them even if you'll be feeding your fish outside?
How so?
Like the grasshoppers. Would you quarantine them before I fed them to my fish?
So the couple that we have come across in our yard, we don't use pesticides or anything, and I know that my neighbors don't either. So I also give them a quick look over, make sure they don't have any weird growths or any weird appearances on them, and then I feed them. But if it was from somewhere, like say my neighbor uses pesticides on their lawn or something, then I would quarantine that for a couple of weeks just to make sure the pesticide was out of their system and then feed it. It's just to try and eliminate that risk of introducing something that you don't want to be to your animals.
Now, at
the end of the day, you're trying to improve their life, and it would be a really shitty situation if you thought that you were doing something positive and you ended up killing them because there was something on that prey item that you fed them.
Right. Hey, y'all. Emily has kind of relaxed a little bit. The smoke has kind of dissipated a little bit. Just a little bit.
My brain's not exploding anymore. See, I'm not mad about the live feeding. It's not blowing my brain up.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Now, I will say though that my aquarium fish, these guys, I don't just give them anything, like worms or anything like alive on a regular basis because of that. Now the ones outside, I don't think only twice. A grasshopper, toss it in because that grasshopper could easily jump to it by itself, accidentally. Then it'd be the same thing. So
exactly.
Now, but these guys in my house, it's a little different story because I put them in almost a stereo environment, which is bad to say, but that's what happened. Your aquariums are basically sterile. Sorry to tell y'all because you're not unless you're adding regularly every day stuff from the outside. It's very sterile. Your aquariums.
Yeah. Because I ended up for a little while, I was accidentally culturing mosquito and midgie larvae. I just had some plants sitting out in a bucket outside, and I went and checked them one day, and it was full of this larvae. And because I have so many bedders and all these little fish, it was a great source of natural live prey for them. So yeah, I rounded all them up and added them to my tanks, and everyone absolutely loved that. We've also been doing live blackworms, baby branchworm and stuff on weekends. So live food is really great, and if you can add it as an addition, it is really beneficial for your fish.
Right. I've actually done mosquito larvae already, but my issue is how do I keep it under control that they don't hatch out and become mosquitoes?
Oh, they hatch so fast. That was my issue. I had some in a little vial just to because that's how I was collecting them. I was straining them, putting them into a little vial, and then feeding out of that because the water they were in was putrid. So I was trying to get as much of that water off as I could before I added them to my tanks. And even in the 2-hour period that I left them on the container, half of them had morphed into mosquitoes. It was just insane how fast they morph. So that is the only downside to that. You have to be really on top of it. Otherwise, yeah, you're breeding mosquitoes.
Yeah, no
you
way.
Don't
Now, it'd be cool if you could make an ecosystem or a tank that's sealed off. You would have basically a mosquito breeding setup in your aquarium setup.
Yeah, you just never be able to open it.
And it'd be like on a timer. Every couple hours, some of the larvae would be pushed into the aquarium for the fish to eat.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
the ones that do hatch out to mosquito, they'll fly over above the aquarium and fish will eat it anyways. So it'd be like an ecosystem.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I absolutely love the biotopes and ecosystem sort of things. Like when I was planning to do the angelfish 6x2x2 that I've done, the plan was to introduce a ton of blackworms to begin with to eat the detritus and then be a natural life food source that was in there, but I just wasn't able to source them in time before I moved the fish over. But that is still a plan. I'm going to introduce just a heap of blackworms and they can just naturally live in there, and that way the cories always have something to munch on and the ghost knife has something to find and hunt in there. So I think that'll be really cool.
Do they reproduce that fast?
So your blackworms are really easy to reproduce. So they're based in a lot of scientific studies because of the way that they reproduce. They're kind of like hydra. You can break them apart and a new animal will grow off that part that is broken off. So say you have a centimeter long blackworm, you can cut that into 40 pieces and now you got 40 blackworms. So they're really cool. So in the substrate, like when cories are sifting through, they may accidentally break one up before eating it all, and so they get to eat one and they've just created another one at the same time. So they're quite easy to reproduce. Yeah. And they're really interesting.
So basically it'll be there all the time then, basically.
Yeah. Unless, like, obviously you have a bare bottom where they can absolutely get access to all of them and eat all of them. But yeah, in most setups, you have your substrate because they bury into your substrate. So most of the time they're tracked into the substrate where nothing can get them, and they'll just keep reproducing in there. And the couple that stick their heads out and unfortunately get eaten, they get eaten. But there should always be some sort of population in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome in, Sweet Acre Koi Farm. Hope you're having a wonderful. I think you're in the UK. No, I'm not gonna say where you're from because I said it in the past. Some channels come in and I'm way off my rocket, so I'm not gonna guess where you're from this time. But welcome in. Hopefully you're enjoying it so far. Yes, Steven. It's crazy that kombucha appeared in a standing puddle in my ditch that only lasts a month or two at a time, right? Isn't that weird? How does that even happen?
Must be similar to the killifish where their eggs can stay dehydrated for a long time.
Hey, it could be.
Have to do some research into that one.
And the skipper said he feeds his African butterfly fish crickets. Cool.
That was actually a conversation I was having with one of my friends last night. We had a family dinner, and one of my friends, she works at Pet Barn, which we're not a big fan of Pet Barn and Petstock over here because they're not great. But she is a fish manager, and she has been for many years, so her store is quite good. But yeah, we're having a chat about like dream tanks and biotopes, and we're talking about having a multi-layered biotope system with like branches and stuff going over the top, and getting archerfish and butterfly fish, and then like putting crickets across the logs and watching the arch like spit them down and catch them and stuff. So that was really cool. So that'll be a one-day plan.
Cool. Do it. Because I've actually been thinking about the same idea. Doing archerfish and doing that, but I'm not at the point yet that I feel that I'm ready to take that under my belt and set it up.
No, exactly. That's where I've had to start living with the in-laws and my partner. They've said no to any more tanks. So I've got all these ideas and dream tanks and plans. But yeah, I just have to bite my tongue and wait until we get our own place, and then I'll turn it into a little zoo.
Right. And that zoo is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be would it be the number 1 or number 2 Australia Zoo to go visit?
Oh, there's a couple of incredible people around here with incredible scapes, like Adrian with his fish rooms, incredible. Joe Paul with his, blue tongue breeding facility. They're just a couple that I know of personally. I'm sure there's many more out there. So I have very high expectations to live up to if I'm going to be any of them.
Right. Hey, welcome in, M. Myers, 1987. Either you're regular or you're new channel. Either way, welcome in. Hope you're enjoying us. James, Nature Aquatics Vibes, what's up? Hey, James, my guest is from Australia. A guest? No. I'll rephrase that. My co-host.
We have upgraded titles.
And hey, James, by the way, this is Emily, Jim Aquatics. Right now, we're doing once a month live stream together, the collaboration. And in the future, that might change to more often, but for now, it's once a month. So stay tuned. And there'll be more great topics of Australia and rest of America. This is what's kind of, it's amazing the differences between the two worlds. Two differences, but we have the same species. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's been really interesting, to see the differences and different laws and regulations and how our styles are keeping a different country to country. I do not have yet. We are still in the process. This is why I'm only doing this once a month, because I have so much on my plate at the moment. For those that don't know, I do run my own aquarium maintenance and pet sitting business. So at the moment, that is my full-time job, and it's just doing all the accounting and everything. I am the sole owner and operator of that. So I have to do all the back-end stuff and see clients. So there's not too much time to do the social media and content creation. But eventually, once I start outsourcing some of my other tasks to other people, we'll get some free time and we will get that going. It will happen eventually. Just when, I'm not too sure.
Ashley, y'all, if you want to follow her on Instagram, she does phenomenal updates over there on Instagram. It blows my mind. That's just a little insight of what she does. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I try and post over there when I can, just update people, know that I'm still alive and doing stuff. I haven't dropped off the face of the planet.
Do we have any moderators left in the chat? If not, I might go grab her link to her Instagram. That way, if you want to go follow her, which I even encourage you to go follow her. Give us some love. She's awesome. She deserves it. Without her, this live stream couldn't happen. So give me some time, I'm not the geek like everyone thinks I am. I'm just a beginner.
I just posted a link there. Oh no, it says this comment has failed to post. So maybe I'm not allowed to post because I'm not a moderator. So maybe you have to try it.
What? You're not a moderator?
I don't know. I was able to comment before, but I just tried to post a link and it said that I'm not allowed to post links.
Let's see what I can do about that. Hey, Jim, you're a moderator now.
Perfect.
She passed us up. She's famous, y'all. How'd that happen?
I am so not famous.
So, anyways, I found her link for y'all. That I made to her Instagram. So, if you want to, see what's happening over in Australia, and also you might even get to see some behind the scenes of Katie over there as well.
Yes, I have got so much footage of Katie's house that I just have not been able to make yet. I was there when she went to America last time, which is probably about a year ago. Got a ton of footage from then, and then even the last couple of weeks when I was down there, I took more footage. I was hoping to make that video yesterday and post it yesterday, but I haven't got around to that yet. So maybe today and this afternoon. So keep an eye out because I do want to do one of their tank maintenance videos pretty soon in the next couple of days. So that should be coming out if I have time.
And this will be on Instagram or YouTube?
Instagram. Nothing will be going on YouTube just yet because I have an introduction video that I filmed. It shouldn't really even be an introduction video anymore because I filmed it probably about a year ago, so it is that outdated. But it's sitting there. It's sitting there to be edited. So as soon as I post that out, then the YouTube channel will start and I'll stop posting on there. It's just I can't really post these tanks, which are now a year later, and then post an intro video that's back a year. So I got to start there and then we'll move on from there.
Right. Hey, welcome in, J-Rock. Hey, Mark Sterlson, welcome in. Hey, Mark, this is one of your neighbors.
G'day.
She's I like it. There you go.
G'day, mate.
Now, hey, Mark, I'm sorry. I can't remember where you're at over there in Australia. Hey, it's probably like what you do with us over here in America. They're from America.
Yeah. Even in Australia. This is in Australia. I do states. It's either your Queensland, if you're New South Wales or South Australia. I don't know places in the States. It takes that far to get to places. You only really know what's around you. And even then, there's a lot of small towns that you just don't know the name of.
Right.
But I think even last live stream, someone mentioned where they were in Australia, and I had to jump on my phone and Google and see where that was because I didn't know where that was.
Okay, Mark is in Melbourne.
Oh yeah, that's a little while away from us. That's down south. My mum's from Melbourne though, so I have family down there.
So in Melbourne, since they're down south, would they have a southern accent?
I don't know if we really have different accents all throughout Australia. The more inland and central you go, it definitely gets like more of your stereotypical Australian accent that you hear like on TV shows and movies and stuff.
Right.
But coastal wise and everywhere else, I don't know. Again, I can't hear it. I can't tell that we have an accent, but yeah, apparently everyone else can pick up on it. Although I have been hanging around with my partner for too long. I have lived with them for over 6 years now, and they're New Zealand. And I went and met someone for the first time the other day, and they asked if I was New Zealand as well, because apparently when I hang out with him, I get a New Zealand accent, which I took as an insult. I'm not New Zealand, I'm Australian.
Close enough.
I was like, hell no, I'm Aussie. But yeah, no, so apparently I've been hanging around them too long. Apparently I'm starting to get a New Zealand accent, even though I've never been.
Right. Jay Rock Does Stuff has a question for you. Is your puppy a Malamute or a Husky?
So our dog at home, this guy here is a really messed up French Bulldog, unfortunately, but our guy yeah, Miko over here that was with me before, he is a French Bulldog, but our boy at home, he is a Husky. He's just a Siberian. Although we were having a look, because obviously we got him as a rescue, so we're not 100% sure what he is. And I feel like he's a combination of both. He looks like a Siberian, but he has the personality and the common traits of a Malamute. So really like to do a DNA test, because he also acts like a wolf as well. So we don't really know what he is. He's a Husky of some sort, but exactly what, not too sure.
Right. So how far are you from Brisbane?
Brisbane, I am pretty much right now. I'm in Caboolture, so that's 40 minutes good drive from Brisbane. So with good traffic. So yeah, it depends on where in Brisbane. I have a client down in South Brisbane, and that takes me an hour to get to. But to just get to Brisbane, it's about 40 minutes, so not far at all.
And James Nature Aquatic says he has a friend that, and she's an amazing scraper.
I wonder who it is. You'll have to let me know. Have to reach out and make some contact.
Hey James, who is that? Because there's a good chance Emily might know who this is.
Yeah.
Since Emily does the maintenance on aquariums. So even maybe she'll do it on her tanks or something, but there's a good chance she probably would have met her.
Ooh, I haven't heard of her. I have to have a look.
Hey, maybe social media is a good thing after all.
Yeah. Make new friends. Love it.
Yeah.
Honestly, the amount of friends and people with like-mindedness that I've met through this, even just this channel, has been amazing. So it's opened up a lot of opportunities. So I absolutely love connecting with other people with the same mindset as us. Because, yeah, as I was saying before, when we have multiple tank syndrome, we're all a little bit nuts, and not everyone understands what the hell goes on in our heads. So if we can find friends that know how crazy we are and as crazy as each other, it's always good fun.
Right. So I'm sorry I introduced you to this group of people.
All right, I absolutely love it. It's good to finally be in a group where, yeah, people actually understand what you're talking about, because all the other people in my life, I try and tell them something, they're like, you're absolutely insane. Why are you spending this much money on fish? Why do you have so many fish tanks? Like, they just think I'm crazy. So it's very nice to have other people that understand.
Right. Hey, welcome back, Joey. James said that she took her Instagram down, so I don't know how you'll better get maybe you'll meet her at a fish store, eh? Something.
Yeah,
cool.
Possibly. Have to have a look around.
Yeah.
Sure, there'll be another common person that knows who she is and how to get a hold of her.
You think? Let me see. So now we're not talking. I mean, not touch bases really much on plants per se, or we hit a little bit. But I want to go into the rocks, the driftwood, and the substrate. Are those legal to collect in the wild?
Again, it depends on what state and regulations you have. A lot of it you can just collect, like a lot of the stuff that's in my tanks, or like the micro grapples and stuff that I use for detailing, I get from down at my Nan's Creek here, or there's another creek down the road that we go to. I have always been quite cautious to use the driftwoods just because a lot of our Australian native plants, they have quite heavy like poisonous saps in them, like eucalyptuses and stuff. So it's quite hard to identify what exactly it is once it's fallen off. Like we don't get really batches or anything that you guys get over there. Sorry, can you hear me with this wind that's just blowing through? I just noticed it got really windy.
Yeah.
So I have always been quite skeptical because in the beginning I was like, driftwood is ridiculously expensive. I was like, why am I spending this much money on driftwood when there's that many creeks with wood down there? I'm just going to go and collect some. And I did some researching and Googling about it, and it came back with you have to be really careful here because of that factor of the eucalyptus sap, and you're not allowed to use certain trees. It has to be 100% hardwood. And I wasn't confident enough doing that. But as I mentioned before, Adrian, I don't know if you know him or not, Adrian's Fish Room, he's a aquarium.
Awesome.
Here, yeah, and he naturally collects all of his driftwood, and he posted a photo a couple of months ago, when we had big floods come through, and he had this massive big pile of driftwood that got washed up. And I actually asked him about it. I was like, how do you go identifying the right trees? Like, have you ever had any issues with eucalyptus sap or anything like that? And he got back to me and said he's had no issues at all. And you see his tanks, you see how well his fish breed. He's obviously never had any issues. So his words kind of gave me confidence to go out and source those sort of things, because I was really concerned that I was going to wipe out my whole tank to begin with. But yeah, obviously his results speak testimony to that it is okay. So yeah, definitely going to go out and try and collect a little bit more now that I know that information, and not as scared to kill off my whole tanks. But I will definitely be trying it in like a smaller tank with quarantine fish or something first before putting it into my display tank, just in case. But yeah, you can go out and collect rocks and driftwood and stones. But yeah, as long as it's not national park and you can actually collect from those areas.
Right. Same here. Yeah. Hey, James, you mind putting the link to our Facebook page in the chat? Hey, James, by the way, I just bumped you up a step. You're a moderator as well, so use it. I trust you. Use it in good faith. I believe you did a phenomenal job. So yeah, you don't mind putting her Facebook page link? It'd be awesome, James. Thank you. Now around here, the driftwood. Yeah, I don't. Hold on. Before I talk out of line. Yeah, I don't have any driftwood. Now. Okay. Oh, hold on. I do. I have one aquarium. It's a small tank up top. Local driftwood, but most of the driftwood I got from either other fish keepers. Oh, hey James, don't worry about it. Other fish keepers, or that like a tank that I rescued and it came with driftwood. Like for instance, I know it's a bad picture video, but in this tank you can see there's 2 pieces of driftwood in here. Those came from tanks I rescued in history. So, but yeah. Anyways, now the rocks that I've done quite a few of my rocks outside around the pond from the wild, because again, rocks, driftwood, they're expensive to buy. Now, make sure you're not collecting it and in the parks around here or around anywhere. Not supposed to, because it is. But if it's like out of the river, go ahead, collect it, rinse them off real good. And if you have any doubt in your mind, you could put it in a tank with quarantine it. If you're worried about it. So far, I haven't had any trouble with rocks in my aquariums that I've collected.
I had issues when I began with the rocks, and I had to stop using certain rocks from around here because they were having real problems with my pH, and how I counteracted that was I put it in a bucket of water, tested the pH as soon as it went in, left it for a couple of weeks, tested the pH again after, and if it hadn't changed, then I would add it to the tank, because I was adding some rocks that obviously had some sort of calcium carbonate or something in it, and it was affecting my pH, and it was fluctuating quite a lot. But this was when I was very first starting and didn't know much information about it. But yeah, that's how we got around it. Put it in a bucket, test pH before, test it after. If it's the same, you're good to go. I think a lot of people also use the API nitrate test kit, the reagent 2, Apparently, if
Yeah.
you drop a couple of drops of that on it and it fizzes, then it's not a good one, and rah, rah, rah. So yeah, there
Yeah.
are ways to go around it. Just
Yeah.
just be careful about what you're collecting, obviously.
Now, some of y'all already know most of my fish are cichlids, African cichlids, which they like cold water. So that's why I don't do a lot of this stuff. Now, if
Yeah.
you have saltwater fish, be careful, because
Yeah,
especially here
that's
in
my
Texas,
yeah,
a
that's
lot
my
of our rocks. Go ahead.
that's my issue over here. I specialize in bedders and your Amazon fish and Americans. So yeah, they don't like the harder water. So it wouldn't be an issue for you, but it was starting to become quite a big issue for me over here.
For those that wondered, that was IBC root bear. It's my favorite root bear around. Now a lot of the rocks we have here are limestone, which some people call it holy rock, Texas holy rock, which I thought it's expensive to buy. We have it out in our backyards. We have it in the creek bottoms. We have it in the rivers. They're everywhere. Basically, if you're in Texas, and if you're able to go to a location that has it legally and collect it, do it. You'll save a lot of money. Now, you might not find that perfect Texas holy rock in the wild, per se. But if you're picky, if you want that natural look, get it naturally. Get it local. You know what I mean?
That's so cool that you actually have the Texas Holy Rock over there, because I don't think I've ever seen that like just in the wild over here, and it is ridiculously expensive because obviously you pay by the weight and it's quite a heavy rock.
Right.
So
Yes.
yeah, that's cool that you guys can just collect it.
Okay, I don't know if you can see that too well.
See it quite well.
Is that a little better?
Honestly, I think it was a little bit better with the lights on. I don't know whether that's just me with the sun on. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, all right. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 big rocks and 1 little rock in that tank. That's all local collected. Now that for me to go out and buy that, that'd be an arm and a leg and then some.
Mm-hmm. Very easily.
The rock over here, this is the biggest one. Now that was probably, I don't know, that thing's heavy. It took all my strength to be careful to put it in the tank without breaking the glass. Yeah. So that to go out and buy stuff is not cheap. Now, I wish there was an easier way to transport the stuff, because I got friends around America that want this stuff, but it looks kind of weird when you try to fly with rocks.
You got a few strange looks, don't you?
Yeah. What are you doing with that? Hey, this is for aquariums.
Yeah.
What?
I was even watching a content creator the other week. He went and did a tour over in Singapore, and he stocked up his suitcase. Like by the third day, it was full of aquarium supplies. And yeah, in my head, I just imagined the conversation he was going to have with like the customs and biosecurity officers when they like
Right.
X-ray bag and be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Right. It looks kind of questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point, Stephen. Make sure that the rocks are in there. Yes, because it will affect your pH. Okay, it will. It can affect your pH. Yeah. Now,
Sometimes it's a good effect.
Right.
Sometimes it's a good effect, like in your case, you do actually want it
Yes.
higher, but in my situation, it's a bad effect. I want my water to be softer, so I don't like that harder mineral in there. So it depends on
Right.
what your tank is going for.
right. And since I want the higher pH, it even helps with what I'm trying to achieve. For those that don't know, that substrate is a veganite, which it helps with the pH. It buffers it. And the Texas holy rock, which makes it limestone, adds to it. So I mean, I wouldn't have to do it per se because my water is very hard. It's very. You want to say for African cichlid? My water is perfect for African cichlids. So I wouldn't have to do anything to it, but this way it kind of makes it a little more balanced across the board. But now we talked about the plants, about the fish, the driftwood, and the rocks. Have you done any collecting of it, like the substrates?
Not really like entire substrates with that Angel Tank again. A lot of it's been in this Angel Tank. That's been my massive project that I've been doing recently. When I first laid it all out, I really liked the little stones and like detailing around rocks just to make it look more naturalistic and like an ecosystem. So I did go down to the creek and collected a bunch of all these little small little pebbles to use as those detailing pieces. But yeah, again, with the whole quarantining thing, I'm just scared to introduce anything into my systems. So if it was a little nano tank, I probably would, because you'd probably only need like a little bucket. It's very easy to sterilize, but in that tank it's a 6x2x2, so I needed a lot of substrate for that, and I just couldn't be bothered sterilizing that much substrate. So
Right.
personally, for me, in that instance, it was just easy to go and buy it. But yeah, definitely having smaller tanks. And when I was first starting, had a little bit of play around and terrariums and everything. All my terrariums, obviously, no livestock's going to be going in there, so I collect all that naturally and don't have any
Right.
issues with that. But yeah, I'm just always very skeptical about what I'm adding to my tank, because I'd hate to accidentally add something that caused issues.
Right. So, what if what if somebody's trying to do a biotope? Would they still sterilize everything?
I always recommend sterilizing everything, because even when you're doing a biotope, you don't necessarily want to bring in what is in that ecosystem. Like, you're just trying to replicate the ecosystem look wise and parameter wise. You don't want to bring all the diseases and parasites and bugs and everything that come with it. So I always recommend sterilizing absolutely everything, unless in the rare circumstance you're going to do like a complete biotope where you do everything from the one area. You collect your substrate, your rocks, your water, and even the fish from the same area. Then that way you're not introducing anything that come from there anyway. But if you were going to be doing stuff where you're introducing different sources, I'd recommend to sterilize everything. It also helps with like algae and the ugly stages. Like, in case you bring in a bit of algae, if you sterilize it, you don't have that problem. Pest snails, if you sterilize it, you're not going to have that problem. So yeah, I would recommend sterilizing, even if you are going to do a biotope or something like that, because yeah, you're just going for the look of it, not everything else that comes in with it.
Okay. See, y'all, she knows what she's talking about. So if you don't, if you haven't followed her yet on Instagram, do it now.
Thank you.
You get time. No.
Thank you.
Now with the smaller tank, there's some substrate I put in there from the same water, same location as I collected the mollies in. I pulled, I don't know, about a gallon of substrate, or a gallon of junk from the bottom of the river, and I added it to the tank. Spread it out. It definitely had some snails in it, but the snails, I don't know, they didn't fare well. I don't know what caused it.
Yeah.
Maybe my environment in here is too sterile. Maybe they're gonna handle it. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. You should ask them.
It'd be kind of hard now. It's kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, they're all kind of belly up.
Even sterilization processes, like, it's going to be different for every situation. Like, I collect a lot of botanicals, so I like to use botanicals. So for them, I either bake them or I have veterinary grade sterilizer. You're just going to make sure you really, really wash that off very well, so you don't introduce that to your tank. But then obviously, if you have a rock, you can't boil or bake that, because that's going to turn out quite dangerous. So depending on what you're trying to sterilize, there's going to be a different method for all of it. So just make sure you're using the right sterilization method, and A, you're not going to kill yourself by blowing something up, or B, disintegrate water.
Well, if you do it, make sure it's on video. We can at least watch it.
Exactly. At least give us some entertainment.
Exactly. Have you ever used hydrogen peroxide on plants?
Yes, I use 3% hydrogen peroxide. I am an idiot when it comes to algicides, and I end up melting everything every single time. So I use hydrogen peroxide because it's a little bit less harsh. I've used Flourish XL probably 3 or 4 times, and every single time I have melted every single plant that I have treated it with. So I've stopped with that because I don't trust myself. So I now use hydrogen peroxide, but even with that, I am very careful and generally dilute it. Or there is, I don't know if you have it over there, it's a product called APT Fix, and I use that because that's also a gentler, less harsh version, and I've had quite good success with that and not melting my plants. Because it seems to be every time I treat my plants, I somehow manage to melt them.
Yeah. Now, if you got plant questions, don't ask me. I mean, I'll try to help you, but I don't. I even haven't successfully have plants reproduce or thrive on my watch. But there is a gentleman in the chat, y'all. He is phenomenal. Actually, there's two of them in the chat. James Nature Aquatics and Stephen P. Those two have done phenomenal scapes. Had plants grow like crazy. So, and they're the ones in Florida, the ones in Louisiana. So,
Yeah, the plants can
and
be
they both have channels. So go ahead and check them out. What?
The plants can be really tricky. It's very much like fish. Each one has a different care requirement and needs. So depending on what plant you keep, like, I don't know, something could work really well in my tank and I could recommend it to the next person and it'll absolutely fail in their tank. Like, it's different case by case situation. It's kind of just trial and error with the plants. You just got to have a play around, see what works for you, see what works with your lighting, your stocking, what fertilizer you're using. So it probably took me, I've been doing this for over 5 years now. It probably took me the first 3.5, 4 years to try and figure out the plants, and still even now I have issues with some things. So it's really just a learning curve and trial and error. But don't get disheartened if you can't keep a plant alive, because it might not just be the one for your setup and your ecosystem.
Right. Steven has heard of it, but he doesn't know what's in it.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly new Australian product. I'll have a look. It's become quite popular and they do quite a broad range of products, and I absolutely love all the products that they do supply. And it's probably one of the only things that I've actually had good success fighting blackbeard algae with as well, so I really enjoy it.
Hey, James, Angel, of course. Yeah, you need to show me a competition tank, Vibes. Definitely, I want to see it, James. 100%. You can send you got my number. I know we're following each other on Instagram. So go ahead and send me a picture. That'd be cool. I'll see it.
I want to see it too. Don't leave me out.
Yeah. James Nature Aquatics. He has done some great aquascapes, and so has Stephen P. 2003. They've done great aquascapes. Something I wish I take that back. Maybe I could do it, but some reason I haven't done it yet. There.
Yeah. I just had a little Google about the APT fix, and apparently it is a mix of epoxy aldehydes and dialdehyde. I probably pronounced that wrong, but that's apparently what's in it.
Close enough.
Cool. Yeah, 2 Hour Aqua. That's the brand. They're really good.
Mm-hmm. Have we hit all the points about collecting in the wild? You have questions for me?
Oh no, I'm terrible at this being put on the spot question.
I know she really is, y'all. So never put me on the spot.
I've only had a month to prepare, but I still haven't prepared. No. I don't know. Maybe is there certain areas that you go to collect? Like, is it just you find a stream somewhere and you pull over and go and collect? Or is there certain areas that have become your favorites and you know that you're going to get something out of there? Or do you go specifically to find something? Or is it just collect and what you get is what you get?
That's a good question. Wow. Hey, advise, be careful when you ask and really the open question. She'll give it to you. There is a location here local. It's about 5 minutes from me that I go regularly. The reason I go there because 99.99% of the time I will catch at least something every time.
Yeah.
So that kind of encouraged me to keep doing it because if you're a real introvert like me, if you go 5 times and you'll catch anything, you might give up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now there are locations I go just to see what's there. Yeah. You know, it's more curiosity. You know.
Yeah.
Now, if you haven't followed him, this gentleman, Power Aquatics. He's also a YouTuber. He's over there, up there in Texas, North Texas, I think. Well, close to the Louisiana border, I think. Anyways, he's a killifish guy. He breeds them and everything. Anyways, next year they're hoping to bring the Kitty Association. I think so, to my area, and they're trying to get me involved with it. Basically, showing places to go. So I've been doing a lot more testing away from where I normally would do, just to broaden my horizon, see what's available. Like,
Yeah.
say they're looking for a certain fish. I say, hey, over there, you have a good chance of catching one of those. Over there, you get what I'm saying? And instead of going to the same spot every time, which I enjoy because I know the area now and everything.
Yeah.
But I need to broaden it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool to check out new areas and see what other species you can find in different spots.
And not every time I go collecting do I bring fish home. Sometimes, like I said, I just have that clear box. I put them in there, look at it, take pictures of it, and release them.
Yeah, just curious to see what's in there and document.
So that's a good point. So are y'all allowed to do that too over there?
Yeah, so we have, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's AFG something, and it's the Australian Fishing Association or something. I'm totally butchering that, but they are a big native fish surveying community, and they go out quite often, maybe once a month, and they go out and survey local creeks and catch them into the little containers, tally up if there's any invasive fish, obviously remove those guys, and keep records of what's invasive, what's actually there, what's in those ecosystems. So that is quite a common thing, just to go out and just survey and see what's around. But yeah, like you were saying, just general curiosity. No one takes anything home. Well, a couple of people do, but it's generally just trying to see what is out there.
Right. Hey, James, do you want me to show it on the live stream, the picture? If not, I won't. I'll leave it up to you. But if you don't mind, I'll show it, everyone. And now, he did send a picture to you and me, Emily. So
yeah, I was just going to go have a look at that. I did see that in the comments.
So yeah, James, if you prefer, I won't share it or show it on the live stream. I won't. I'm fine either way.
That is incredible.
It is incredible.
It's stunning.
I would not be. Okay, yeah, you can. Okay, all right. I'll do that. Instead of, I could send it to the StreamYard and pull it up that way. I'm just to show it on my phone.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go solo, y'all. Emily's still here.
Right there. That's absolutely stunning.
Now, of course, my lighting's horrible, but that is breathtaking. James, you did a phenomenal job. I'd give that a winning ribbon.
Yeah. It looks like those picture backgrounds that you can get when people are too lazy to do escape. It's beautiful.
Yes. I'll use that as my background for my live stream on a regular basis. That's good.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, James, for sharing that with us. My evening, hey, James has made all of our evenings better just by sharing.
Yeah. Absolutely beautiful. I'd have to be coming to you for escape tips.
Wow. I actually need to hire James to come over here and escape one for me.
Yeah, because I'm starting to lean more towards those proper aquascapes. I've always done sort of biotope sort of looking tanks. Where I was I don't know. James would be able to say what it is, but is it the Iwagami style? There's certain styles of aquascapes.
Yeah.
And I've always really done the biotope, but yeah, I'd like to expand out and try a couple of the different ones, but see what happens.
Actually, we talk about this. Maybe that'd be a challenge for you and me both to do an aquascape challenge.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Have a bit of a escape off.
And use everything that's local.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. Definitely an idea.
We talk more about that.
Yeah.
That's a random thought. This is exciting, y'all.
We always get some good ideas when we're on here.
I know. I say great minds think alike, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Steven, you want to hear my opinion about that? I've seen some of your work. You have talent. Actually, I've actually watched your aquascape. You're pretty good in my book, Steven. So, actually, majority of us in the fish community everyone said, but we're kind of humble about what we do. I mean, that's probably one of the faulty things about us. We're too humble to admit that we're actually good at it.
Yeah. I think there's always someone better out there as well, which you're comparing yourself to. So you don't feel like you reach their expectations and levels. So you don't feel like you're good enough. But in the grand scheme of things, you're actually doing really well for what you're doing.
Right. And the main thing, y'all, if you do your own aquascape, if you're happy with it, that's what matters. It doesn't have to be the number one aquascape in the world to make it a good aquascape. If you're happy, if fish are happy, don't worry. Yeah, there. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's very much a personal taste sort of thing. Like I've done some skates for clients, and obviously they get to dictate what it looks like. They're the ones that are going to look at it all day. It's in their house. It's their tank at the end of the day. And I've done some, and I've absolutely hated the way that they've turned out, but they absolutely adore them and don't want me to change anything about them. So it's very much a personal preference thing as well. Like each person's going to like something different about each sort of style. So it just depends on what you personally like.
Right. Quick shout out to Jeff Miyake. He is one of the top notch aquascapers out there. I've seen a lot of his work. He's told me a lot of things to look out for, new ideas, which I never heard before, which is awesome. Yeah, Jeff Miyake, he's amazing. If y'all haven't followed him on Instagram, you're missing out. We usually hang out. No, you don't want to see him. He's usually pretty busy, but usually after the event, he usually has some time, and then we usually hang out quite a bit. He's not just a good aquascaper. He's an amazing person, y'all. And yeah, so thanks, James, for sharing that. Okay, I think we hit all the high notes. I don't see any more questions coming in as of now. Okay.
Ooh, I've got a quick question actually.
Go ahead.
When you do collect, do you use any traps and baiting for the traps, or you literally just net catching?
So far I have not. Which I thought about it.
Yeah.
In the future I might.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of. I like the instant gratification, I guess. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
You scoop a net of stuff and you either catch it or you don't catch it. You know.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting patiently and you're going back, and I mean, I got nets or traps to do that. I just haven't used them yet.
Yeah.
Waste of money. Anyways.
They'll get used eventually. Because over here, I think traps have become quite popular because of the invasive species that are in the waterway. So if you can't catch them all in the couple of hours that you're there, you don't want to be there for, say, 6-7 hours trying to catch every single fish out of there. So a lot of people will use nets, catch as many as they can manually, leave a trap there overnight, and then go back the next day, and hopefully the rest of them in that waterway has gone into there so you can easily remove them. So I think that's why we do it. But yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. Like, you'd rather just catch them and see what you get in one go rather than having to go back and wait.
Since you mentioned that, just because I show the ninja net, I'm gonna show it quick again. Picture of it. Now it's not the whole net, but the ninja net. It's a collector's net. Anyways, you don't have to have a net to go collecting, y'all. Just a cheap old net. That's all you need to go collecting. Now, it's gonna be a little harder to catch more variety with this net than with a big net. I agree with that. But this is all you have, and you're in an area that you don't go collecting. Even if those are too small, if you have fish to local, you can swing by Petco, PetSmart, even Walmart. If this has a net, go ahead and buy one. They're cheap, and it works. As long as you can kind of chase the critters or whatever you're trying to catch into the area and quick scoop, these do work. And now these are from Amazon, y'all, and these are telescoping handle, which it makes it small for when you travel. So
Mika. Sorry, I was just getting into something.
He has a great YouTube as well. Yeah, he does. Hey, James, you want to grab his link to his channel, to Jeff's channel, putting up in the chat? If you don't mind, James. James, you didn't realize what you're getting into when you showed up to be a moderator. Anyway, it was up to you, James. He says he uses a cast net hair for invasive. That's one thing I haven't done yet. I have not went that route.
Takes a lot of skill to use a cast net. I've attempted a couple of times and it has failed miserably. So definitely a lot of practice to use it.
Right. With my dip net, crystal net, I just go out in my boots or waders, which I was talking, actually we talked about a little bit here on the live stream, what to wear. I was talking with one of my good friends here local. Actually, I mentioned her name last week. Was it last week? Or last stream? Anyway, the young lady and husband that makes all these good baked goods I talk about. Anyways, today I was hanging out a little bit, and we're talking about that. And she said what she and her husband does, they go shoes from like Academy or Amazon. They're called water shoes.
I nearly bought another pair yesterday.
Perfect. Basically, water shoes, it's like Crocs. It lets water in and out, and it protects your feet. So if you want to go that route, if you don't care about critters in the water per se, and don't want to go with waders, which I need to get a pair for myself of shoes for collecting, because especially right now it's too warm to wear waders, y'all. Way too warm. I went out a month ago with waders on. I had a heat stroke. That was that good.
I really enjoy them as well because I generally just walk through. Like, I don't care anymore. I just walk through in like normal canvas shoes, and obviously they take a really long time to dry. So with those guys, are specifically designed for that. They do dry quite quickly, which is nice, and they feel lightweight in the water. Whereas obviously canvas shoes, they get really heavy and they kind of weigh you down as you're tripping through everything. So yeah, they're really cool, the water shoes.
And there's a link to his channel, Jeff Malaki's. Actually, Jeff Malaki, one of his aquascapes is here at my local fish store. There's one of his there. He's pretty cool. Anyway, side note. So what size tank would you set up if you did an aquascape in your local area?
That's really hard. I love tanks of all sizes. I love my nano tanks, but I also like my really large ones. I didn't have much experience with aquascaping, and I jumped straight into that 6x2x2. And I can't remember who came in. He was one of the professional aquascapers, and he said to me, "You're making a big mistake doing that, jumping straight in with the 6 foot." And I was like, oh no, what have I got myself into? Like, I thought that it would be a good idea because obviously it's larger, so you have more room to work around with. And he's like, no, you don't want to do larger to begin with. So if you're starting off, I would recommend do smaller because all the professionals have told me to start smaller. I actually really enjoy doing the larger scape, obviously, because it's larger. It's a lot more money that goes into it because you have to find larger pieces and more pieces. But yeah, I really like scaping everything from nano tanks all the way up to your big monster tanks. They all are really enjoyable for me. I don't really have a preference.
Right. Sorry, y'all. We do have background music now.
Yes, sorry. The dog is back.
For those who wondered, that was not Emily.
No, it's not me. But yeah, I actually really enjoy the nano tanks because I have noticed just because they're so shallow, it doesn't really matter what light you put on them. You don't have to fork out a lot of money because it's not as deep. So your plants are still going to grow really well. And I've had more success growing different kinds of plants in nano tanks than I have the larger tanks. And I think it has to do with that light situation. So yeah, if I was to choose one, it would probably be the nanos. And you can fit more nanos in one spot than one big one. So nah. The nanos are pretty cool. I do quite enjoy them.
So, James Ninja Quadrant said 60p, I think, the best beginner size, which is it's 24 by 12 by 14.
Is that inches?
Yeah. So it's basically like a Simpson gallon or a. Hold on. Let me see liters.
I think it's probably about 30, probably more.
64 liters.
Sure.
Now,
Size.
I was kind of leaning. If I would do it, I would skip a small one. It'd probably be like a 75 liter, which would be 20 gallon US. But yeah, we did. Hey, that was good discussion, y'all, about aquascaping. So maybe we'll see what we come up with.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've got probably 6 or 7 tanks just sitting at home, not set up yet. So I've definitely got some potential there if we do want to do something.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. We don't want to hold Emily too long because she wants to get away from the camera and she wants to go out.
Has literally just walked in the gate, so it's perfect timing.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So before we head out, though, Emily, what you guys say to everyone watching yet?
Just thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a really enjoyable discussion today. It's been cool to see the differences between America versus over here in Australia. I'm definitely going to have to book a visit over because you have way more lenient laws over there. So definitely come over and collect over there. But yeah, just thank you for joining in today, and it's been a really enjoyable conversation.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, I don't know if I told you before, but I'm blessed to have you as a co-host. Appreciate you joining me on the live stream.
Thank you.
I'm enjoying this collaboration. And
it has been
I'm looking forward to the future.
Yeah, definitely big things planned. No,
yeah,
really glad you reached out. I've been really enjoying this as well. It's been good.
So before we head out, though, y'all, make sure you are already following Emily or Gem Aquatics on Instagram and send her some love. She's awesome. But until next time, positive vibes only. Peace out, y'all. Bye. And have a great night or morning, evening, afternoon.